The year is 2023, and Reddit, once hailed as the front page of the internet, has just pulled off one of the most self-destructive platform decisions since Dig tried to reinvent itself in 2010. It's late spring. Users are still riding the high of r/place, the kind of chaotic online experiment that shows Reddit at its best. Messy, collaborative, weird. Reddit had been coasting on vibes and tradition, kept alive by its loyal user base, active moderators, and a third-party app ecosystem so polished that many people didn't even use the official app. Why would they? And then it happened. Quietly, suddenly, with the kind of corporate coldness you'd expect from a company that knows it's about to cause a riot but doesn't care. Reddit announces a new API pricing policy. Translation: the same free tools that powered moderation bots, screen readers, and third-party apps for over a decade would now cost a lot, as in tens of millions per year for some developers. The internet blinks. Third-party devs scramble.
Hey, I could make it really easy on you. If you think Apollo is costing you $20 million a year, you cut me a check for $10 million and we can both skip off into the sunset.
Users rage.
Well, it looks like Reddit booted all of the third-party apps a little early, so that means it's time to delete my Reddit account.
Moderators panic.
I gotta get out of here.
The front page of the internet had just declared war on the people who built it. And it was only Monday. The first of all is Apollo, one of the most beloved third-party Reddit apps, slick, customizable, and actually accessible. Built by a single indie developer named Christian Selig. He posts a detailed, transparent breakdown of what Reddit's new pricing would mean for him. Spoiler, it's not survivable. According to Selig, Reddit's API changes would cost him around $20 million per year to keep Apollo running. $20 million for access to content that Reddit's own users created for free. Reddit's response? Radio silence. Then vague PR. Then, weirdly enough, accusation. They accused Selig of being uncooperative. Users don't buy it.
Accusations! These are not accusations. This is false accusations.
The Reddit community rallies behind him. Even those who never used Apollo suddenly care. Because it wasn't just about one app, it was about trust. And trust just shattered like glass on tile.
Another!
Within days, the ecosystem starts to crumble. Other app developers announce shutdowns. Mods speak out. Accessibility tools, especially for blind users, are on the chopping block. The changes didn't just hurt developers, they hurt everyone. And the users? They fight back the only way they can. On June 12th, thousands of subreddits go dark. r/funny, private. r/gaming, private. r/science, private. r/awe? Yeah, even the cute dog subreddit goes dark. Over 8,000 communities black out in protest, including most of the site's largest forum.
Popular social media platform is the subject of a user-led protest.
Thousands of forums ranging from music and history to sports and video games going private.
Some subreddits changed their mission entirely. Others labeled themselves NSFW, making it impossible for Reddit to run ads on them. What started as a pricing change turned into a digital mutiny. But instead of listening, Reddit doubles down. And that's when the betrayals really start.
You betrayed me. Betrayed our friendship. Friendship?
You have to understand something about Reddit. Unlike X, formerly Twitter or Facebook, Reddit isn't run top-down. It's more like a digital archipelago. Thousands of islands with their own cultures, ruled by volunteer moderators who don't get paid a cent.
Love my job. I don't get paid.
They keep the trolls out, the spam down, and the communities thriving. And for over a decade, Reddit let them run the show. Until now. Because when the blackout hit, Reddit's leadership saw not a rebellion, but a threat to be neutralized. So they went nuclear. Entire mod teams were forcibly removed. r/mildly interesting, taken over. r/ask historians, locked out. r/DIY, admins installed new mods, ones who were willing to toe the company line. It was one of the most aggressive acts of platform control in Reddit's history. These weren't bad actors or policy violators. They were longtime community leaders, some with 10+ years of service. Reddit removed them because they refused to reopen their subreddits, because they stood in protest. Imagine pouring a decade into a community you helped build, only to be silenced and replaced overnight. The message was clear. Reddit would rather break the communities than bend to them.
I must break you.
To users, it wasn't just tone deaf, it was betrayal, plain and simple.
You were supposed to be my friend when you were my wife. You're my friend!
Moderators were once the soul of Reddit, now they were liabilities, and the company had no problem cutting them loose. The trust was gone, and the protests weren't over, not even close. With the blackouts in full swing and mods being ousted like mutinous crew members, the platform morphed into something completely unrecognizable. But Reddit's users weren't done.
I will find you, and I will kill you.
If the goal was to make Reddit unusable, they got creative. Some subreddits reopened, but with a twist. R pics, every single post became a photo of John Oliver. R interesting as fuck, just more John Oliver. The entire platform became a shrine to the HBO comedian, who had nothing to do with any of this.
One of Reddit's largest communities is protesting changes to the platform by posting only photos of John Oliver looking sexy.
It wasn't just trolling, it was performance art. Other subreddits only allowed ASCII art. One subreddit started accepting only haikus. A few turned into personal blogs for their mods, and a surprising number simply turned their entire subreddit into posts saying, "F you, Reddit." It was messy, it was chaotic, it was very, very Reddit.
Reddit has been having a bit of a Reddit moment.
For a moment, it looked like the community might win. The news coverage exploded. The blackout made international headlines. Tech reporters described it as Reddit's great moderator revolt. Even Google search results got weird. Reddit results were broken or buried because so many of the links now led to private subreddits. Some companies stopped posting altogether. Mojang, the developers of Minecraft, said, "We're done here." They abandoned Reddit entirely. The platform had become unstable, unusable, unsearchable. But Reddit didn't blink. No apology, no rollback, no meaningful compromise. They weren't backing down. And that's when people realized they weren't trying to preserve the Reddit we knew, they were trying to outgrow it. Reddit wasn't always a business. Well, it was technically, but not in spirit. For most of its life, Reddit operated like an open source experiment. Ugly, clunky, but full of soul. Built by users, moderated by users, improved by users. The kind of place where you'd scroll for hours and learn everything from quantum physics to how to boil the perfect egg. Then the IPO talk started, and everything changed.
But when I tried a bit better, everything changed.
Reddit had been preparing to go public for years. The company needed to show growth, revenue, control. And those third-party apps, they didn't show ads. They didn't collect data. They didn't funnel users into Reddit's own ecosystem. From a corporate perspective, they were parasites. So Reddit did what corporations do. They consolidated, monetized, locked the doors.
I'll never forget you, Hans.
The API pricing wasn't about cost recovery, it was about control. By cutting off third-party apps, Reddit forced users into their official app. An app filled with ads, tracking, and baked-in monetization tools. More eyes, more data, more money. They called it sustainable, but to the users it felt more like a hostile takeover. It was never about Apollo or r/pics, or moderation. It was about turning Reddit into a product, and that meant getting rid of everything that made Reddit, Reddit, even if it meant alienating the very people who gave it value in the first place. By the time July rolled around, the protests were fading, not because people forgave Reddit, but because exhaustion set in. Mods were burned out. Users were numb. Subreddits that had once been alive with community now felt hollow. Some reopened reluctantly. Others disappeared forever. Reddit, for its part, acted like nothing had happened. Executives held AMA sessions, half-hearted, filled with PR jargon and vague commitments to transparency. CEO Steve Huffman, aka U/Spez, gave interviews blaming misinformation and framing the API pricing as misunderstood. He said they'd made necessary decisions for the future of Reddit. Necessary for who? Behind the scenes, Reddit quietly pushed ahead with the IPO. They rolled out new ad formats, expanded Reddit Pro Tools for marketers, and even teased AI-powered search features trained directly on user conversations. All while insisting Reddit was still by the people, for the people.
By the people, for the people.
But something had changed. The platform still worked, the memes still hit. But the soul, that intangible, chaotic, fiercely democratic spirit, it felt thinner, like a subreddit taken over by an ad agency. Still functional, still technically alive, but no longer trusted. And Reddit's leadership didn't seem to care, because the numbers were going up. The IPO was back on track, and for them, that was the only story worth telling. For everyone else, it was the moment they realized Reddit wasn't ours anymore. It was theirs. Reddit survived, and that's the part that stings the most.
I am not dead!
After all the blackouts, the protests, the headlines, the outrage, Reddit survived. Not because it fixed anything, not because it won people back, but because platforms like Reddit don't need loyalty to stay online, just traffic. And traffic still comes. The lurkers keep lurking.
I'm lurking and I'm stalking when you least expect.
The meme hunters keep scrolling. Even the protesters trickle back. Because let's face it, where else are you going to find that perfect blend of chaos, comedy, and human confession? But something is broken. Mods now operate under the shadow of potential removal. Users think twice before trusting the platform. The old sense of ownership, that idea that Reddit belonged to its communities, is gone, replaced by a quiet understanding. Reddit belongs to the shareholders now. The company's public roadmap doesn't mention moderation, or accessibility, or community trust. It talks about monetization, video tools, AI integration, corporate partnerships. They're not hiding it, they're just done pretending. The betrayal wasn't just in the policy change, it was in how fast Reddit showed its true face. Overnight, it proved it was willing to torch its community, its devs, and its reputation, just to look good on an earnings report. And even now, the platform still carries the scar. Not a big one, not front page news, but if you scroll long enough, you'll feel it. In the comments that say, "Remember Apollo?" In the posts that joke about U/Spez in every thread, in the silence of the subreddits that never came back. Because you can update the UI, you can charge for the API, you can even rewrite the rules, but you can't undo a betrayal. So what's left? Years later, the 2023 API blackout lives on, not as a victory, but as a warning. A case study in how a community-driven platform can lose its soul in the span of a press release. And make no mistake, this wasn't some isolated incident. It was a deliberate shift from human first to profit first, from open source spirit to closed door strategy. Reddit didn't just kill third-party apps, it gutted trust. It showed every user, every mod, every developer exactly where they stand in the hierarchy of the platform. Not as partners, not even as customers, as data points, as ad impressions, as friction to be smoothed out. The irony, Reddit was built on rebellion, on users fleeing more sanitized platforms, on mods crafting rules that make each community feel like a corner of the internet you could actually call home. In 2023, all that flipped. The mods became the threat, the communities became the problem, and Reddit became just another website trying to be a business. For users who grew up with it, for people who spent hours on it daily, it was like watching your favorite band sell out to play Super Bowl commercials. Sure, it still sounds the same, but it doesn't feel the same, and it never will. Today, Reddit is still online, still ranking high on Google, still getting millions of visits a day. But under the surface, the energy has changed. You feel it in how people talk about the site now. Nobody says Reddit is cool anymore. Nobody's proud to be a Redditor. The passion, the obsession is gone, replaced with quiet utility. People go to Reddit to get answers, not to be part of something. It's a platform with amnesia built by a community it no longer remembers.
I don't remember.
Sustained by content it no longer respects. And as the company leans harder into AI, into monetization, into Reddit Pro, it's clear they're not turning back. They're not trying to win back the hearts of the users they betrayed. They don't need to.
We don't need you.
Because Reddit no longer depends on humans who care. It depends on humans who click. And maybe that's the most brutal twist of all, that the front page of the internet, the place that once felt like a conversation, has become just another content farm, waiting to be mined by algorithms and optimized for ad spend. The users shouted, the mods fought, the developers walked away, and Reddit logged in the next day like nothing ever happened. That's how you betray your users overnight. Not with one decision, but with the quiet confidence that they'll stay anyway. Reddit's leadership insists they made the right call, that what happened in 2023 was necessary. Growing pains, a little turbulence on the way to becoming a more mature business. They say the protests were overblown, that most users didn't even notice, that it's all fine now. But here's the thing about betrayals. They don't disappear. They just sink lower like bad code buried under a fresh UI. And if you look closely, the cracks are still everywhere. Ask any longtime moderator. Ask the indie devs who gave up years of work. Ask the blind users who lost their favorite tools. Ask the communities that never fully recovered. They'll tell you exactly what Reddit lost. Not traffic, not money, but trust. And no amount of quarterly growth can buy that back. So now Reddit moves forward with a permanent chip on its shoulder. A platform that proved how little it values its core when money is on the line. A warning to every other online community. This is what happens when your voice becomes a liability. It doesn't end with a bang, it ends with a shrug, a quiet shift, an update to the terms of service. And a reminder that the internet remembers everything, even the night Reddit betrayed its own users. Especially that. Scroll through Reddit today and you'll see the jokes, the memes, the same energy on the surface. It moves fast, it forgets fast, but underneath, something's gone. You see it in the absence more than the noise, in the subreddits that don't post as often, in the threads that feel a little more transactional. In the quiet frustration from users who've been here long enough to know what it used to be. Because platforms don't die in a day. They die slowly, in layers, in decisions made behind closed doors, in the silence of feedback forms that don't get answered, in API keys that get revoked, in moderators who log off for the last time. It wasn't just a business decision, it was a cultural shift. A reminder that no matter how grassroots something feels, it can be taken from you the second it gets profitable. And maybe that's the final betrayal. Not that Reddit changed, but that it never really belonged to us.
You're nothing to me now.
It just let us believe it did, until the price tag showed up. Reddit isn't the first platform to betray its users. It won't be the last. But what made this one hurt was how deeply personal it felt. Reddit wasn't a polished Silicon Valley product, it was weird, messy, and ran on goodwill, not algorithms. A place where anonymous strangers made each other laugh, cry, rage, learn, and feel seen. That kind of thing doesn't come from quarterly earnings. It comes from trust. And once you break that trust, no amount of patch notes or investor calls can bring it back. You can relaunch the UI, push out new features, add AI summaries, roll out new ad packages. But you can't rebuild the community by replacing it with a product. In 2023, Reddit made a choice to prioritize shareholders over users, control over collaboration, profit over people. And in doing so, it reminded everyone who's really in charge of the internet's biggest communities.
Let me show you how to bust us.
It's not the users, it's the platforms. And when platforms decide the users are no longer useful, they don't say goodbye, they just change the locks overnight.